I used to lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, listening to the small sounds a home makes when the world has gone to sleep. The hum of the refrigerator, the click of pipes cooling, the faint murmur of a streetlight buzzing like a tired bee. In that soft dark, my thoughts would lengthen like shadows across a floor, one worry becoming 2, then 10, until my chest felt as if it were folding in on itself and my breath belonged to someone else. Anxiety, for me, was never dramatic. It was a temperature a few degrees too warm that no one else seemed to feel. It was the sensation of walking barefoot across a floor scattered with invisible shards, every step careful, every inhale a negotiation. The body whispered warning, even when the room was safe. It taught me how to anticipate storms that never arrived, how to rehearse endings to stories that hadn't started yet. When I was young, I didn't have a word for it. I only had a collection of signals, a pulse thudding behind my ears on the walk to class, a twitch in the stomach before a conversation, sleep that felt like a performance instead of a surrender. Adults told me to relax, as if relaxation were a switch you could flip, as if the body were a stubborn appliance that only needed a firmer push. Years later, I learned the language of what I was feeling. The sympathetic nervous system, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, adrenaline and cortisol preparing my body to sprint or fight. I learned that the amygdala is conservative with safety and generous with alarms. That the prefrontal cortex, the part that reasons and reframes, can dim under stress. That once the alarm begins, the body completes a cycle unless we meet it with skills, breath, movement, attention, to tell it a new story. Anxiety wasn't proof that I was broken. It was proof that my survival wiring worked, only too loudly, too often, in rooms that didn't require armor. There is power in naming things. The moment we say, "This is anxiety," we've placed a gentle boundary between stimulus and self. I began to greet it when it arrived. Not with hostility, not with a fight, but with a nod, as you might greet an old friend who talks too much at the door. "I see you," I would think. "You're trying to help." Breathing was my doorway, not the unconscious tide that moves whether we notice it or not, but deliberate breath, a practiced kindness. I would feel the air cool my nostrils, travel down my throat, spread my ribs, nudge my belly forward. Then I would release it slowly, as if I were placing something fragile back on a shelf. Box breathing came first. 4 counts in, 4 to hold, 4 out, 4 to hold. Turning time into a square I could walk by touch when my vision blurred with worry. Sometimes I used 4-7-8 breathing to lengthen the exhale, a gentle invitation to the parasympathetic system that whispers, "It's safe to rest now." I taught myself to scan my body the way a lighthouse scans the water. Was my jaw tight? Unclench. Were my shoulders auditioning for earrings? Let them drop. Was I trying to hold the universe together with the small muscles between my ribs? Soften them. This was interoception, listening to internal signals without judgment. Over days and weeks, that listening became a kind of homecoming. I realized I could feel fear without letting fear steer. Another lesson arrived quietly: the difference between danger and discomfort. The body can ring the same bell for both. Danger asks you to run. Discomfort invites you to breathe. Recognizing the difference is how you keep your feet when the ground feels borrowed. Writing helped give shape to the fog. In a plain notebook I kept on the kitchen table, I wrote sentences that were honest but small. Today, my hands trembled when my phone buzzed. I felt a ripple in my chest during the meeting. Naming the moment turned it into something I could place on a page, not a current I had to swim alone. Over time, those notes became maps: where anxiety liked to hide, which doors it used, which afternoons it visited most. To understand the terrain better, I learned the names of the mind's habits, cognitive distortions, those unhelpful shortcuts our brain takes when it's tired or scared. Catastrophizing, assuming the worst possible outcome is the likely one. Black and white thinking, splitting complex shades into either or. Mind reading, deciding we know what others think and discovering it is never kind. Personalization, making ourselves the axis of events we didn't cause. Noticing these patterns didn't erase them, but it placed guardrails along steep roads. I learned to ask, what's the evidence? Is there a more balanced story? If a friend said this about themselves, what would I say back? When sleep went thin and papery, I relearned the ritual of night. Screens off earlier, lights that dim like sunset. A routine so gentle, my body could predict it. A warm shower, a book with a slow plot, the same playlist of soft instrumentals that became a signal. This is the road to rest. Caffeine moved to mornings. Alcohol, charming in the first hour, revealed its bargain. Worse sleep, jumpier mornings. I began to treat rest not as a luxury, but as a practice, like brushing teeth, like hydration, like kindness. Movement mattered more than intensity. On heavy days, I walked. 10 minutes became 15, sometimes 30, not for steps or calories, but for rhythm. The body loves rhythm, breath, stride, heartbeat. On lighter days, I did short bouts of brisk movement, enough to remind my biology that the alarm could be completed safely. Exercise increases neurochemicals that buffer stress and improve mood. It's a conversation with the nervous system that says, "We have used the fuel you poured into us. The threat has passed." I learned to eat like someone who wanted steady shores. Protein that kept me full, complex carbohydrates that didn't swing me between mountains and valleys, greens that tasted like the color of morning. I left room for treats. Joy is nourishment too. But I watched the timing of sugar and caffeine, not as a punishment, but as a kindness to later versions of me who wanted calm. Boundaries were a kind of nutrition as well. I experimented with saying no, not the brittle no that hides guilt, but the clear no that makes room for a fuller yes. I learned that boundaries are not walls. They are doors with doorknobs. They allow us to step through when we choose and to remain inside when we must. I practiced letting some messages wait. I practiced being a person before being a performer. Mindfulness became the quiet current under everything, not a performance of serenity, but the steady practice of noticing, thoughts arising, thoughts passing, the mind reaching for a hook, and then letting go. On some mornings, I sat for 5 minutes, counting the breath up to 10 and back to 1. On others, I washed dishes as if each plate were the whole world, feeling warm water and slick porcelain, listening to the small applause of bubbles bursting. Presence is portable. We can carry it into laundry and traffic, into conversations and grief. Some days the mind offered me a catalog of what-ifs. What if this symptom is serious? What if the meeting goes wrong? What if I'm not enough? I learned to answer what if with even if.
Even if the meeting stumbles, I will still be kind to myself. Even if today is loud with anxiety, I can do one good thing. Even if the path is unclear, I can take one honest step. Even if reframes fear into agency. Therapy, when available, became for me a room where the knots could loosen without hurrying. I remember the first time I sat with a professional and said out loud, "My heart is loud. My thoughts are fast. I feel like I'm failing at resting." She didn't fix me. She reflected me. In that mirror, I could hold a steadier gaze. We practiced skills with names, cognitive behavioral strategies for noticing and reshaping thoughts, acceptance and commitment practices for moving toward values even with discomfort present, mindfulness-based exercises for meeting the moment as it is. Therapy didn't remove anxiety from my life. It taught me how to live a larger life around it.
Alongside therapy, I was careful with advice. The internet speaks fluently and confidently, and anxiety makes us hungry for certainty. I reminded myself that general strategies can help many people, but bodies and histories are personal. Nothing I share replaces medical care or individualized guidance. If anxiety interrupts your functioning, steals sleep for long stretches, or paints thoughts with hopelessness, professional help is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. There is no weakness in asking for it. There is wisdom. I kept collecting small practices the way some people collect seashells. Progressive muscle relaxation, tensing a group of muscles for a few seconds, releasing, moving from forehead to toes. The contrast teaches the body the feeling of unclenching. The physiological sigh, a long inhale, a shorter second inhale to top off the lungs, then a long, unforced exhale through the mouth. A simple pattern that nudges carbon dioxide and oxygen toward balance and often lowers arousal quickly. Naming the feeling out loud. This is anxiety. This is a protective response. My body thinks there is a threat. I will show it safety. Hearing my own voice was surprisingly persuasive. Time-limited worry. Setting a brief window each day to write down worries without editing them. When worries tried to interrupt at other times, I would say, "We have an appointment later." Predictability softened the compulsion. The 5-minute start. When avoidance bloomed, I would agree to begin a task for 5 minutes only. Momentum often did the rest. Anxiety dislikes beginnings. It grows smaller when we are in motion. Slowly, I built a life around kinder defaults. Mornings opened with water and a stretch that asked my spine to remember sky. I placed my phone across the room at night so that my first touch each day was the lamp, the book, the breath, not a screen full of everybody else's urgency. I made a practice of stepping outside, even for 2 minutes, to let daylight tell my circadian clock what time it was. On commutes, I chose songs that felt like exhalation. Sometimes I chose silence and let the world's sounds be the music. Tires on asphalt, a bird stitching the air with bright thread, a door closing somewhere like a period at the end of a long sentence. I learned to celebrate small data. A day with one less spike of panic. A meeting where my hands stayed steady. Falling asleep 10 minutes faster than last week. Human change is granular. We stack pebbles into cairns and call it progress. When setbacks came, and they did, I practiced speaking to myself the way I would speak to a friend. With context, with patience, with a story big enough to hold more than today. There were still nights when the ceiling returned, when the room felt too warm, when my heart rehearsed for a race it would never run. On those nights, I remembered that anxiety peaks and passes. I pictured a wave rising, and I let my breath surf it. Inhale up the face, pause at the crest, exhale down the back. I reminded myself, symptoms are loud, but information is quiet. I asked simple questions. Have I eaten? Am I thirsty?
Have I moved today? Do I need to tell someone I'm having a hard time? The body answers honestly when we ask kindly. Over months, something softened. Panic did not vanish, but it arrived less often, and when it did, it left sooner. My world, once narrowed to the size of a heartbeat, widened. I noticed the particular blue of early morning, the way steam from a mug writes slow letters that disappear, the relief of clean sheets, the kindness of a message that says, thinking of you.
If you are where I was, if your thoughts are heavy and your chest is tight, hear this. You are not a malfunction. You are a nervous system doing its best to protect you with tools designed for a different wilderness. You are a brain wired for survival that can, with practice, learn to rest in modern rooms. The work is not to become unbreakable. It is to become well-mended, repeatedly, gently, on purpose. And so I return to the basics that are not basic at all. I breathe with attention, and I let the exhale be longer than the inhale. I move my body as an act of partnership, not punishment. I eat in a way that future me will thank me for. I keep bedtime promises to my circadian self. I ask for help when the water is high. I honor boundaries like they are long-term love letters. I make room for joy without requiring it to be productive. I collect minutes of presence the way a child collects bright stones and puts them in a pocket for later. There is no single ending to an anxiety story because anxiety is not a villain to defeat once. It's a sensitive smoke alarm to maintain. Some days it will chirp for attention when the toast is only slightly burnt. On those days, we open a window. We press the quiet button. We check the batteries of sleep and food and movement and connection. We thank the alarm for trying, and we get on with the messy, magnificent business of being human. And rest, when it comes, is not an event. It is a relationship. I am learning to meet it with the respect and regularity it deserves. Night after night, I practice arriving. Breath by breath, I practice staying. Morning by morning, I practice beginning again. If today is a hard day, may this be your reminder. The storm you are preparing for may never arrive, and even if some storms do, you are learning how to stand in them without losing your sky. You have a body that listens, a mind that can be taught new kindness, a heart that has survived every anxious moment so far. Keep going. Keep breathing. Keep choosing the small actions that add up to a life that feels like your own. And if you forget these things, because humans forget, write them down. Put them in the places you look often: the bathroom mirror, the phone lock screen, the notebook by your bed. Let your future self be coached by your kinder self. Let the message be simple. You are here. You are breathing. You are safe. You are allowed to rest, and you are worthy of a life that feels like home.